Welcome to World Energy Television. I'm Richard Loomis, CEO of World Energy. And today we're at NAPE 2009, hosting on-camera dialogues. And we have the pleasure of visiting with Dan Donkel of Donkel Oil and Gas. Thank you very much for joining us.
It was a pleasure to be here at NAPE and always a pleasure to see you.
I appreciate it. So Dan, how long have you been in the business?
Well, I got in the business in 1982, 83.
Mm-hmm. And you're currently working up in Alaska?
Yes, I am.
Now, you spent most of your career up there, correct?
Yes, I have.
So what do you got going?
Well, right now I own about 150,000 acres in the Cook Inlet Basin. My 1973 was the highest average well rate in the nation, 1,300 barrels. And then Prudhoe Bay came in discovery, and online, and so that. But also I'm working on the North Slope of Alaska, next to the giant oil fields such as Prudhoe Bay, Park, and Alpine. And my project I've got going now is called Stinson. Stinson is a block of acreage, about 8 leases that we acquired from various different parties, including the state, of a field that was discovered by ARCO in 1990.
Really?
It was a very interesting discovery.
What's the geology? What are we dealing with?
Well, the geology here is basically the Barrel Arch is what makes up pretty much the large structures on the North Slope. It goes all the way from Barrow all the way down to Anwar Arctic Wildlife Refuge. Right about my property, you have the plungy nose of the Barrel Arch. To the north, we have the discoveries that were made back in the 90s, the Covelum and the Hammerhead, which I believe Shell is working on Hammerhead drilling in next year. And I think they're going to have a lot of success, Shell. Also, just next to me, about 2 miles away, we have the discovery called Yukon Gold. And we also have another discovery called Sourdough and the Flaxman discovery. But the big one is called Point Thompson discovery. It was found about 30 years ago. The majors have had it in abeyance for a long time. In the recent administration, the Governor Palin administration, had taken it away from Exxon and its fellow working interest owners. But through, of course, working together with the state, they're currently out there drilling 2 wells as we speak. And we believe that this field has been published to have about 8 trillion cubic feet of gas.
Good Lord.
Oh, yes. And about over 500 million barrels of oil. We're half a mile away from that.
Now, in your field was discovered in 1990?
Yes, sir.
How come it was never developed?
Well, Richard, that's a good question because, you have to take things in the context of the history in which things occur. And I always like to tell people that timing has a lot to do with things. And sometimes timing means everything. In this particular case, you had a discovery at this time of ARCO discovering the great sunfish discovery under the North Cook Inlet gas field, 2 trillion cubic foot gas field in the Cook Inlet. It was called the Sunfish No. 1 discovery, 1991. Then they also had the discovery at Covelum and also at Hammerhead. So you had a series of discoveries which were all going to require a great deal of development cost. So I think what happened with this one is they were planning to come back to develop it, and they held it in abeyance for, in fact, I just won it. It finally was held by production up until about 3 months before I won the lease. And I won the lease last year.
Really?
And I just got it issued. They signed the lease the day the earthquake hit Alaska last week.
Okay. So you've got the lease now.
Yes.
What's your plan?
My plan is several plans, but the first plan is to engineer a plan of development that makes sense, environmentally sound, and economically fit. Smaller independents have to be lean, and I'm lean when it comes to economics, so not to good food. But I would say the best thing one could do is take advantage of the engineering concepts that came up with the Sea Tanker Corporation, where they used the drill ships on the North Slope of Alaska to develop offshore existing permanent facilities at Sakhalin Islands in Russia. Well, there's one left in the inlet called the Steel Drilling Caisson. It's at Herschel Island up off the north coast of Canada. And so it's only 100 miles from Stinson. This ship was built in Japan in 1982.
Okay.
You could bring it 100 miles over from Hershey Island, and then, since I'm only about a half a mile offshore and about 33 feet of water, the ship opens up, and then it fills up, and you could go down and use that wellhead that was held by production for all these years,
Sure.
and re-enter and do multilateral, and it has the ability to contain and storage up to 700,000 barrels of oil. So you could convert that into a permanent drilling structure, like the Pioneer did, but on a gravel island, use the structure, run the pipeline to Badami. Badami is not producing, BP has it, Savans and them are working together, good companies, and bring it into production right into the Endicott pipeline to Prudhoe Bay and off to market.
So there's a significant amount of infrastructure already in place.
Yes, that's the key.
So the wellhead is there. It was held by production. When did it stop producing?
Well, they never placed it into production.
Really?
That's the beauty.
So it's never been produced?
Never. It's like Coverlam's never has. Point Thompson, the 8 trillion, has never been placed in production. Coverlam, Hammerhead has never been placed. We have a string of pearls of oil right here, right at the cusp of the Arctic Wildlife Refuge, the Beaford Sea, and the North Slope, Alaska, and they're basically called Point Thompson, Badami, the Liberty play, which BP is working on right now, 8-mile well, I'm sure you've read about it, from the Endicott field. That's going to be fascinating. They're doing that as we speak. And also we've got the Endicott field, Prudhoe Bay, and many, many more.
Well, and you got Stenson's, which is yours.
Yes.
Now, you've already got the wellhead in it.
Yes.
You're planning to produce laterals off the single point.
That would be the plan.
Okay. How much do you think you're going to find?
According to Don Brizzolera, who was the state of Alaska's geologist recently, under the Governor Murkowski, Frank Murkowski's administration, he believes, and he wrote in his report, in the neighborhood anywhere from 200 to as much as 500, I believe. Now, plus there's gas, 18 million cubic feet of gas.
Do you have a market for the gas?
Well, I believe there is going to be a market because, as you know, they're drilling the well at Point Thompson right now, and what they're doing is they're liquefying that gas. Exxon has some great ideas, and I believe good ideas should be followed. We'd like to copy what they're doing.
Okay, so maybe you can tie in with them on the liquefied side.
Absolutely, because their infrastructure is coming right to my property line and stops. So all I have to do is put an infrastructure a mile further.
Well, tell me a little about yourself. Now, you mentioned you've been in the business for a long time, but what's your background? Geologist, engineer, businessman? Where'd you come in?
Well, I'm the kind of guy that what made oil and gas business what it was many, many years ago, where you have over 2,000 farmers, pharmacists, doctors, people in Kansas that learned how to do this by themselves. So I look at Texas, where you have over 15,000 small oil companies and families actually producing and operating. In Alaska, you don't have one Alaska produced and operating. You have 3 companies producing 99%. And what we need to do is use the policies in Alaska. I'm an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So you asked me if I'm a geologist. I'd like to say I am. Dave Gross, formerly with Chevron, my consulting geologist, may disagree. But I've done enough study on geology, petroleum engineering, seismic. I've learned about accounting and legals and security. I've had to wear all the hats. And we still have many guys like me in America, but we're dying. They're taking away our tax incentives. The government is. They're saying that the major oil companies are making all this money, so they changed the laws that kill the American oil man, the small guy.
That's right.
So they try to aim at the majors, but they're killing the little guy. And I hope Obama sees that cannot happen. Right now, we need to improve our drilling in America.
Well, and right now, we got some interesting statistics.